Magep.
Damso, how are you, brother?
Ngiyaphila unjani baba?
I'm great. Okay. Am I clearly audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Awesome, brother. You good?
ngenze mistake namhlanje. No, I'm good,
What's
man.
up? What's happening? What's happening? I know it involves. I know. So yeah, please let's just kick off this podcast with the bang. Come on.
No, let me tell you. So I get to, normally when the stream goes live, kune thumbnail with your picture or the guest picture. I show you would see we are live with so and so.
Yeah.
So I clicked live. Normally I'll play the music for about a minute or two.
Yeah.
But what we did was we added our videos to the stream. You notice amongst the kitchen, so I stood up to go to the kitchen, to get my poison of choice, ne? Because the topic and I'm
Yeah.
trying, yeah, she's. Yeah, so I go there. I think shayama retweet nyana, hey, join us, nye. Mangibheka ku-Twitter, I'm like, how? The face is showing and my seat is empty. Anyway, ngiyaxolisa bazalwane ne, ngiyaxolisa yabo.
Ugogo masekufikile yaza kumemeza wetamzo.
Akumemezi ne. Hey, vele nomzimba soba buhlungu man. Like uthi uthi uyavuka ekuseni uthi ama-joints ayala man. Yo. But anyway, ngiyabonga man for your time as always. I really appreciate it. I think after our first stream, we knew Guti will have a lot more of this. You owe me an invitation to yours.
Hey, Azzy, because I was supposed to start a podcast. I did try, and then stuff happened. I was just not in a good space mentally, so I was like, let me just back off a bit. But I think one of the reasons why also I'm not podcasting is that we've got this challenge, Tinama Disruptor, because we start things way early, way before a lot of people catch on, and then sometimes we're scattered because a lot of people, like for example, podcasting, I started 2015, 2016. That's when I was like podcasting before a lot of people, they understand what is skipper, and then we couldn't monetize it. And then we stopped. I think it was in 2019. We were like, man, this thing is not working, kind of thing, So now when you are seeing, your MacGyvers, your Zugiles now popping, it's like, nah, man, I don't want to be like, I don't want to seem like I'm jumping onto the bandwagon now, So now I'm trying to like look at what other formats, so that I could be different, so that I could be unique, so that I could pioneer, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think one gets to overthink things.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I think I just wanted to be stable, a little bit stable
Mm,
first.
yeah,
And then so ngizokwazi ukuthi ngibe consistent like you have been, bro.
yeah,
Like you have been killing
yeah,
this thing this year. But I just do not understand because it seems as if
yeah.
there's a bias in like brown sense because
Kwenzakalani? Yeah,
all I see is just hot ladies, bro. Like hot ladies, and then one guy after 6 weeks. One
ah,
guy after
wow.
6 weeks, and it's like, ah.
You know what? I'm going to keep up my receipt. You know, there's actually a lot more men that I've interviewed, and one time I'm like, hey, Bazuti, discriminator, our sisters, and what.
Man.
Yini uhlala busy ngamadoda and whatever, you know.
Man,
Um,
so that I mean,
mm,
which brings me to this point. What
happy
what
Thursday,
what
by the way.
what do you think? Thank you, man. What do you think
Mm,
about it? Do you think that the political correctness?
yeah,
Do you feel that we're in a space now where you have to like really overthink things, really now think about okay, how
yeah,
what are people
yeah,
gonna say if I
sure.
do this? What if I do this? If I date a white chick, what people will say because I'm a
Zoti
brown sense
sellout is
founder?
it?
Do
That's Zoti sellout. Yeah,
do you think that's a sort
yeah,
of space that we're in, or it's just a
yeah.
phase, or it's the age of
No,
enlightenment for us?
you know what? I think ngibeka kanjani. So konje ngiyi-gen bani mina. I forget my gen whatever this
You're a
term.
baby boomer, bruh. You're a baby
I baby
boomer.
boomer
You're
is my
old. You're
parents,
old,
though.
bruh.
It's not, that's that's my parents. That's my parents. But whatever that comes after baby boomer, I think I'm that. Um, and I listen to a lot of content. Yeah, when so across the spectrum. You understand that different age groups, genders, topics, or whatever. And what I've picked up, Uguti, there's been a sense of fear. We've seen things happen. When umuntu asho something that you can't say that, and then let's cancel this person. Um, if I had a folder of of social media posts, if anyone that's listening follows me, they might think that this guy he's too much or he's spicy or intend to rao rao or whatever. I don't know. Um, there's a lot that doesn't go through where I'm like, hey, maybe not. Then we delete like depending like with draft folder for the same reason with him. How is it going to land on the other side? You know,
Mm,
because also with social media we don't have the benefit and the luxury. Yeah, yeah, someone hearing you. You see now they can hear us by as we tone, they see our faces or whatever. Yeah, they might still, say stuff about us. With these two guys were talking misogynistic 1, 2, 3 or whatever that doesn't vibe with them. Ne?
mm. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we live in a time and a space where fear has become the ruling thing. You understand? It influences a lot of decisions. Abantu bayenza one thing, they say this is what we're gonna do. The market responds one way, and then like okay, then we are backtracking. Um, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong at this stage. Yeah, but I'm just
Mm.
talking about the time that we live in. That goes
Yeah.
in as far as what kind of jokes we make, what do we call something or someone, those types of things.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was 2016, maybe 17. There's something that we were doing for the BrownSense. I created a form. So basically, what we were doing was calling people to register for that thing. Good gender, good gender. Um, I had male, female, no other. So someone commented, "Athi why singafaki zonke ezikhona?" And I had to go to Google back then. I was like, okay, easy busy. Like the list was so long.
Mm.
I was like, okay, where do I start?
Yeah. Mm.
Where does one start to say Umunyu's identifier as what, and those types of things.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's the minefield that we find ourselves in today.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know if you experience the same thing, but I sense you do.
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Tina saqala ukuba so controversial kudala, 2014, 2015, where I was really I think I've always been an independent thinker, bro. I've never really been, this person or hamba group think, you know what I mean? And that's why I was like, even politics for me, I mean, they tried earlier on, to get me into politics, and I was like, I'm not going to survive because
yeah,
I'm not a great dependent thinker, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, of course, navigating it over the years as one grows and in life and in business as well, it's really been tricky. One having to really, but you know what I think? I think that we just this generation is just too fickle, bruh. I just think
Mm,
we're just overly sensitive. Of course, there's always boundaries, but I always think that we over, I think we just, there's this saying that says, offense is taken and not given.
mm,
And
mm,
so you still have a responsibility on the receiving end to be
mm,
like, how am I going to receive this, you know what I mean?
mm,
So
mm,
I could still choose to be like, oh, okay, I think this person actually needs, I think I need to share, my perspective with this person and enlighten this
mm,
person, or add in, my views, and perhaps
mm,
they may
mm,
start to
mm,
see things differently, instead of us running around with outrage and be like, yeah, he said this, it must be cancelled,
mm,
and then we
mm,
miss an opportunity to engage and shape each other and grow each other.
mm,
And I think the whole purpose of life and the reason why there's so many of us is so that there must
mm,
be an interaction, there must be engagements, there must be
mm,
conversations, there must be knowledge sharing, we must exchange experiences, you must tell me your stories, you know what I mean? Like, I need to
mm,
tell you. So, and that's how we grow as human beings. But now,
mm,
if we find ourselves in a space where we now need a template. So essentially, what we now need is a template. Ingane uma izalwa, and then we're like, here's your template, here's your
yeah,
manual. Essentially, here's the script. You stick to this,
yeah,
tried and tested, went to research for 10 years,
mm,
20 years, whatever the case may be. This thing works. No one is gonna get hurt
mm.
if you say this. You stick to that for your entire life, right? Imagine. Just
Yeah, sure.
imagine how boring life would be.
Mm,
And on the other part, I also think that we also on one hand we're overly sensitive, on the other we're just too cold, bruh.
yeah.
For me, I always, like, sometimes I look at these things and I just laugh, bruh. I'm like, it's just an opportunity to laugh sometimes. Just laugh it off.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Just laugh it off.
mm,
It's a joke sometimes, like, oh, okay, he has done this, he has said that. Oh, he thinks we're monkeys, Oh,
mm.
man, what an ignorant fool kind of thing,
Yeah,
Let's go
sure,
on with
sure.
life. Now, why we
Yeah.
should now simise yonke into yethu, now we focus on kumele axoshwe
Mm,
emsebenzini,
yeah, sure.
akakhanselwe, sekufonelwa imanager yakhe akaxoshwe, vele akaxoshwe
Yes,
vele.
yes, yes, yes.
Now how does that then add value to your life? Because this
Exactly.
person, if in fact they were thinking you're a monkey, now you're actually worse. Now they're saying
Mm,
worse things, except that obviously,
mm,
because you've blocked them off, now you can't hear whatever else that they're saying. And they could
mm,
also actually be worse because you've lost out on an opportunity to engage and enlighten this person, to say, hey, you may have been brainwashed, perhaps, growing up, or
mm.
whatever the case may be, or your experiences and things like that. But
Yeah,
here's where it's at. So
sure.
that's just how I feel, bro.
Or maybe an opportunity opportunity to walk away. I think also when you give that person energy or your time, we am validator. Do you understand? Um, someone called me a name like over a week ago. You understand? Via text. Mangi funda. It landed sharp. You're like, ouch. You understand? But man reflect. I was like, but Mzu, that's not you. That's Aksu. Lo muntu usho le nto le because of how they feel at that time. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because what I did in my mind was to look at it, sorry, and unpack it in terms of um, am I really what they say I am? And I was like, okay, do you do that? No. Do you do 1, 2, 3? No. Do you do 4, 5, 6? No. Then I was like, ukhuluma ngani lo muntu? I'm not saying you're perfect. Do you understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I'm just saying recognizing where they are coming from, or where
Yep.
they are at
Yep.
that
Yep.
moment.
Sorry, man. Sorry, man. You know, if I
Yeah.
can just come in quickly, you're saying something really
Mm,
important, because
yeah.
you're like, you also can choose to use that moment to reflect.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Because you may not necessarily agree because you haven't had time to really think about this thing, what, because you could be hearing this for the first time, you know what I
yeah.
mean? But you have been that pretty much for, a big chunk of your life, perhaps maybe like some traumas, some experiences which shaped you to become the person that you are. But you haven't
Yes.
had time to like reflect and meditate and be like, actually, I am maybe toxic, for example,
Yes.
just
Yes.
perhaps maybe I am abusive, but you haven't had
Mm,
that, you haven't given yourself that time. And a lot of people, that's why I'd be like, also, people fear their thoughts and just spending time with themselves.
yeah.
They're always bumping
Yeah.
music, they're always watching TV, they're always on their phones, they're always with other people, they're
Yes.
always drinking in a club, whatever. But they always
Yes.
distracted, and they miss
Mm,
that opportunity to bond with themselves and really get to understand them, really reflect on things.
yeah.
Who am I? What did I do today? What did I do yesterday? What did I say?
Yes.
Perhaps there's something that I may have said. So that when someone says that, you miss a lot of opportunities, to reflect on
Mm,
you, to reflect on them, to reflect on both of you, or to reflect where society is at.
mm.
There's so many missed opportunities, and I think we're not going to grow, we're not going to become better persons, through
Yeah.
that, where everything's just like outrage, cancel, get rid of this person, block them.
But you know what?
It's actually childish. It's actually childish, bro.
It
Like, it's
is,
just
but no one wants to
childish.
hear that. Yeah, it's actually what you're saying. I had a chat earlier with my mom. Ne? Ukuthi, when people respond a certain way with social media, I'll use certain phrases that you might have come across. Phrases such as "it's not that deep," ne? Heal. Who hurt you? You understand? Usually when they say that, or when they ask who hurt you, they don't really want to know. Like if you say, it's my ex-girlfriend, she did 1, 2, 3, my mom did 4, 5. Do you understand what like that's not what they are looking for. It's just a gaslighting tactic that's meant to make you doubt yourself or your point or yenzile. But they don't really want to engage with you at that level. There's someone on Facebook that I commented we post here. It was about something to do with men and women or whatever. I commented. I don't remember what it was, so I don't remember my response. But what I remember was her saying she wishes me healing. I was like, I was going getting healing,
Was
and my response.
did it have to do with BrownSense? Did it have to do with BrownSense?
Sorry, hey, my guy.
Ah, okay. What's going on now? Did it have to do it with BrownSense?
Kuneskuta ngaphandle. No, 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 no. It was on my makahamba yokhonkothelile. Hey. No, it had to. It was on my personal feed, so I was just engaging with a
Ah,
Facebook friend.
okay.
Not business related, not nonsense,
Ah,
not
okay.
politics, just
Okay.
relational stuff. And
Okay.
you know, I come out and play with other kids on my timeline, and it's my Facebook
Yeah,
friends will
I
tell
see.
you, they
I
like,
see that a
yeah,
lot. But
yeah.
anyway, how have you dealt? Because I've always
Mm,
really like, um, I'm not sure if I've asked you this before, but having been in a space where you've added so much value, to the industry, to the South African economy, to our communities, and then you find people, for example, who would come in with outrage and be like, yeah, my post has not been approved, there's discrimination. How have you dealt with all of that?
yeah,
Have you developed policies, or you were like, yeah,
yeah,
people are not grateful? How was that
yeah.
process like for you?
Hey, it's been a roller coaster ride, and it's not something that I can say I've fully figured out. in the beginning stages, it was the winter shabayo,
Mm.
I mean, I remember, I think 2016. So for those who don't know, BrownSense ngaqala ngisasebenza. So I only recently left my job this year. 3rd of September was my last day as an 8 to 5. Ne? So from day one, 2016, I've got a job, full time parent. I used to call myself a full time single father. Are you still there, Ndot?
I'm here, bro. I just wanna.
Not
I
you.
just wanna. No, no. The light is burning me, so I wanna open the other door, bro.
Should I carry on? Okay, to Simlinda Abui. While he's fixing the light, I think just to give this context, tonight's live is hence it's called simply a banter. That's what this is about. Cool.
We're back, bro.
Yeah. So Panini, you know, if okay, they can't fire me now because I'm seven. So um, so this share office C4, ne, where I used to work. So my manager is sitting on the other side. Yeah, maybe it's ma shared office, the divider type thing. Ne? Diagonally opposite me, there's another colleague opposite, there's another next to me, C4. So there was a sense of privacy, you understand? So I'll do my work, but then now and then I'll check, hey, I'll think approve a one or two, three posts, using the men's time to do all of that. No? But where I was the most active at work was my lunch break. Like I literally used to carry two laptops, my personal laptop and the work laptop. Lunch break, ngiyahla laptop yami to the canteen. Because I had declared, when as soon as I realized potentially BrownSense, nga declared nga, this is what I'm doing. We're not making money yet, but I can see it's gonna keep me busy. So I don't want you guys thinking I'm busy here moonlighting and all that. So I'm
Mm.
at work. I'm coming back to the single father comment. So there's a lady. I don't remember how I got tagged on that post or whatever, where people were complaining about pending posts and all that. And I made mention of, I don't know how nicely you can tell people that you have a life, right? Like, job, nabantwana,
And this is a free platform. This is a free
like,
platform, bro.
at the time I was in a relationship with someone, those, like, how do you say it nicely to be like, I'm not sitting 24/7, like, okay, approve, no, approve. So, so I made mention of which I'm also a single parent, which I mean, like I've raised my firstborn as the primary parent. So I've changed the terminology because she would go to Mama Wake, Mama
Oh,
weekend at the time. Ne?
oh,
So
okay.
from I
So,
did
so
that,
yeah, a primary parent. That's cool.
yeah. So
That's
we were
dope.
co-parenting. So it's not like the new one raising it. That's why I've learned to say I've been a single parent in that sense, right?
Get it. I
But
get it.
primary is in I'm not the fun time parent because yimi oyisa umntwana esikolweni yimi oyenza the homework is done. I'm that guy who's not gonna be like, hey, let's go to the what the movies, get slash puppies and all that. I've tried, but like my primary focus has been work and getting things done, getting kids to school on time
Yeah.
and so forth. I'm not saying I've gotten it right all the time. So usisi lo ongilwisa nge-pending post, then she crept on me during the people. She was like, I must not insult single parents because now she's a single parent and she's on top of things basically, so mina ngihlambalaza a single parents team because I'm busy here dropping balls, so, so that really hit hard. I was like, ouch, okay, you know um but I think over the years, you grow a thick skin, and the thick skin doesn't mean that you don't care.
Mm.
It only means I need to find a way to protect myself because if I don't, I'm gonna go cold. I'm gonna go dark. Do you understand?
Mm. Mm.
Um, Especially ngimbiza ngale gama angafuni simbize ngale. Yay, I respect what people say when they say call me this, don't call me that, because he says it's changed. I assume it's changed legally when he says I've changed my name from Kanye to Ye. There's something he said in one of his interviews, Uguti, the bear, they've been poking the bear for too long. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
Hey, that line, it's a sticker, and I was, because I looked at it from my own experience, Uguti. When people poke you and provoke you and all that, sometimes they might not be doing it. Ngamabom, it might be that we've been allowing it because we didn't have boundaries. Yeah? Then we realize, oh snap, I don't have boundaries. Let me build some kind of boundaries around me. Um, but by that time, chances are the that's in sebakhethile, by that time, like you're dealing with a lot and all. So it's kind of like you need to fix that. As people say, heal. You need to find some kind of healing, and then find a way to deal and move forward with that. With how do I engage with such
Yeah.
things now?
Mm, mm,
There's a famous post that got me dragged in 20. Hey, I mess up the years a lot. It might have been 2016 or 17, where as a result of 17, the number of complaints. Ne? I call it the 50 rand post. Those who've been in the group for that long will know what I'm talking about. So I came up with this idea. One day I was sitting with a lady that we used to work with BrownSense, and I was like, no, man, let's do this thing. If someone is gonna come and say, hey, my post, they might as well pay for that convenience, right?
mm, mm,
Let's do it, but not as a compulsory thing. 50 rands post, this is what you get. We will be able to hire people that will make us accountable to you. No?
mm.
Hey, people took out their calculators. I think at the time we were like 40,000 or 50,000 in the group. They took out calculators, and then they were like, Umzu, uzoyenza 2 million rands per month. They didn't even say brown cents. They were like, Umzu, uzoyenza 2 million,
Where's the money, Baba? Where is the money?
you know? And that's all that then next thing I was being dragged by someone that I'm not my a friend on Facebook with. I had to change my Facebook settings where I can't be tagged by someone in a see friend like on Facebook and all
Mm,
that. On a public holiday, Konji, what holiday was it? I think Heritage Day. My son, my second one was sick. Then there's my daughter. Then I'm like, when you wake up late to katele, the kids want what they want. That's the other thing about parenting. Mtwana, there's, whether you are sick, whether you have a hangover, whether you're depressed or whatever, Umtwana wants what they want at that time. Like that breakfast, peanut butter or whatever that they want. So then this guy is sick. I was like, hey, we need to take this guy to the, because it was a public holiday. Normally, what I would do, I would take them to a casualty ward at the nearest hospital, so see a GP there and get them attended. I was sitting up as she's dragging me, and then people that, I think sometimes you can tell, man, when people comment what they've been waiting for this moment, they were like, vele, vele, vele. And then what I did was, I responded, I said, anyone who kulma nami and have a respectful conversation. I think I said decent, maybe. Here's my number. I shared my number in the comments section. And I think my comment only made them even more angry. They were like, no, respond here, respond here. And from that moment, what I did, I just muted the notifications, Zaleo post. I didn't remove myself from it. I just was like, I'll come back to it, but I don't want it to trigger my attention or whatever because my phone is popping up. Yeah, so that's the story say 50 rands post. I think, to your question, Moti, when people complain about these things, my answer would be it's just to grow a thick skin. But also, we don't grow a thick skin by telling ourselves. I think that's my opinion. With, hey, I must grow a thick skin. It's through going through the fire, you know. or some people will say the baptism of fire, so to speak. And like I say, it's not like I've mastered it, because we are human, daughter. Snama feelings, and there's a lot that you put into your work, ne? And
Yeah.
that people don't know. You don't post about it with social media, but they will drag you, obviously not knowing that side, and not appreciating sometimes that on the other side of the screen is
As an
a
actual human being.
yeah, it's a flesh and blood somebody in it is where I can it's like, so yeah. But not there's a post that you once made, ne?
Yeah.
And I just wanna, I think,
Pull out the receipts.
there's a post again which spoke to the work that you do, and I think for the benefit of someone that didn't catch our first interview, when you respond, just give a high level, of what you do.
Yeah.
And the post that you made had to do with the amount of sacrifice, work, money you've invested, um, and being accused of why nisebenza nabelungu, or servicing, white kids and all that. And it's not like it's only them,
Yeah.
and or I think the other leg to your post was people calling on you to say, bring what you do to this place, come and do it here. Maybe not fully appreciating what it takes also to do that.
Yeah.
Take us through that.
Yo, bro. Okay. Just
Mm.
quickly, what we do is robotics, coding as well as
Yeah.
robotics for children as well as youths. So we get them through software engineering, electronics, prototyping, entrepreneurship, media. It's a bunch of things. But essentially, the end goal is to get them to develop prototypes. um and those prototypes actually they have to look at the actual problems within their environment, within their communities, within the economy, and then they propose solutions, they design solutions, they design products, and then we take them through that process. So essentially that's what we do at the Alcode Work Robotics Academy. So in terms of the diversity element, I think just like Penwell, we what just like Penwell, what has been in that space where it's like pro black, black power, buy black,
Yeah.
kind of thing, revolutionary, radical.
But
Hey,
those guys,
and
I've got my
and
own
then
personal story. I must tell you about it. Yeah.
and then you're
Yeah.
like, man, no, no. These people, it seems as if they just keep taking and taking and taking. You
Mm.
know what I mean? And you just look at you just look at our institutions. I looked at, for example, I'm gonna make an example. Look at community
Yeah.
radio stations, for example.
Yes.
What
Yes.
is the
Yes.
relationship that our communities have with a community radio station? Ayi, ngifuna ukuyokhonza emsakazweni, advertise for me, I'm doing this, I'm an
Yeah.
artist,
Sure.
please play my song. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's always, again, me, what do I get from this thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait, do you for a minute actually think about this institution and this structure? This is a non-profit. You know what I mean?
Mm.
This
Mm.
thing, who funds this thing? Who invests in this?
Yes.
Do
Yeah.
you care about the actual radio presenters that you are asking? You struggling
Yeah.
rapper, but do you for a moment think about, every day? How much does this
Mm.
person earn? And I can tell you they do not earn, because they get stipends. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
so I don't know. We've got a really and this could stretch even to BrownSense as well. Again, what is the relationship that we have with BrownSense?
Yeah.
I no. I prove wrong post So it's all, again. It's always, we're just, I don't know if maybe into it's because of the trauma that we have suffered. results of all the atrocities, over the decades and then centuries. But inkinga yethu ukuthi we get to think about ourselves and not, go like, okay, cool, there is this thing. What do I do to add value? So that this thing, it can grow, it can progress, it can be sustainable, and in it being sustainable, then I can then come in and then I can plug into this thing so that I can then reap the rewards. You know what I mean? So I think lay on the layer of community structures. Look at our schools again. What is the relationship that we have with the schools? We're not backing these schools. We're not putting in a 50 rand post. We're not putting in a 50 rand. We're not going to the schools and be like, hey, why grant Velelinjen? Hi, Hulumen is not doing this. No, but what are we doing as parents? You know what I mean? Like, so why are we not then putting in? And it's not, like I've spent enough time with my people to realize that they're not really liking money. There's a lot of, you actually think about this. Actually, there is a lot more Mercedes Benzes and your BMWs and Audis Ekasi. Actually, which is I find it fascinating. I'm like, wait a minute. Actually, there's a lot of these luxury cars in the hood than there are in the peps. You know what I mean? So it's a case of, again, what do we prioritize as a people? Where do we find the value? Expensive clothes? Is it, are we going to be going to the clubs and popping bottles and things like that? So I think we realized that, and then we started we started the shift to be like, okay, cool. We're not servicing black people. We're not servicing white people. We're servicing people who find value in our products, in our services, in what we have to offer. And I think that, a lot of people obviously are waking up to that reality to, like, I think there's just too much. I think, race plays quite, I think we overextend the conversation of race, to aspects that we shouldn't even, like, for example, here's a bunch of youngsters. They've started the robotics academy.
Yes.
They're doing quite well, fairly okay with, a bit of the support that they get from a few of their clients, for example. And then when we go and we pitch, and then the first question that you're going to ask is, what are you doing for the poor? Nice. And then I'm like, does this person understand that we're running a business here? Who said because you are black, then you must only service black people? You must only service the underprivileged. Who said that? When you find a product, again, these products that our people really love, your Louis Vuittons and them, they're not gonna be like, okay, so Louis Vuitton is so expensive. What about the poor? Why? Of course, people will be like, I know that's different, but it speaks to, again, our mindset. We always want to box it. We always want to limit it. We always want to push it to that little corner where you belong to the hood, you belong to to the poor. You're black anyway, so your thinking can only go as far as that. You know what I mean? The moment you step outside of that space, it's a problem, because we don't believe in ourselves. And then we project that when we see a Langa coming through and pitching their robotics academy. They're coming with a diverse bunch of kids, beautiful kids who are building beautiful products. The only thing, your only response is going to be like, but where are the black kids in here? So I think it's been things like that we've really that we experience quite a lot. And actually it's actually what is worrying is it's people in positions of power who have this mentality, who have this understanding. And even worse, when you realize when you're pitching these products, these great products. I remember when we launched an app back in 2017. I'm not sure if you remember it, the Imbogoto app, and for women, women's safety, when women were being abducted. They're still being abducted, by the way. When you're pitching this app and then you're like, so you first need to convince this person that, hey, actually, They're just thinking, you're front, you know. Oh, Ispani, Lishani. It's good to hear Ispani. I remember,
Yeah,
you know, we're pitching to some, you know, leader, and then he was like, it's a straight boss, it's a
yeah.
laptop. And then he was like, hey, that is it. So, where do you guys build these apps? And I was like, hey guys, that was the end of it. I was like, that was the last time I heard from him. It was like, I can't do my epic ass.
That's another. That's
I
another.
span.
That's another. You know what?
You
You know what?
know.
Yeah, man. It's really sad. You know what? As you're talking, I'm thinking about a book. I don't have it, Pam Wamila. It's not written by him. It's a biography, Anton Rupert. Ne?
Mm.
And one thing I learned kule ncwadi le is
Hey,
that
when you find my biography or pay, captured.
yes, in one thing I learned, and you know one thing I learned that if you wanna close if you want a closed view on life, read material written by people
Yeah.
you agree
Hey,
with.
ubhizi ngo-BrownSense uthi ya ukhanda iplatform into yami kodwa ubhizi ufunda iy'ncwadi zabelungu.
Exactly. Vele uyazifunda. Vele uyazifunda. You know, because yeah, because otherwise you won't have an open view on things. I mean, like the best way to shut yourself out is to hang around with people that agree with you. You know, when I was a teenager, you're taking me back to my teen years. One of the reasons, or maybe the main reason why I drifted, not because I sat down and was jail. I one day, okay, you must move away from these people. Things just gradually happened like that by themselves. No, is because Bengapuz, man, I never started drinking in my teen years, not even my 20s. People will be surprised. You know, like ngisitshelile ukuthi this thing angifuni. Ngeke ngiyenze. Even when I started, it was because I went through the same process to say, okay, manje ngizoyenza. You understand? So and I'm not judging anyone either way. I know some people will be like, you should have stayed ungayenzi or whatever. The point engiyenza ukuthi at a time when I was with people that I grew up with and my interests were to achieve. You know, where I would come up with a suggestion that said, gents, asihlanganiseni imali, sibhukheni ikhumbi, let's go to the zoo lake, let's do 1, 2, 3. It was not even business stuff. It was not about let's invest in this thing or whatever, because my mind was not geared or wired like that, you know, at the time. But it was like clean fun. You understand? Clean
Yeah.
fun, teenagers, where someone is gonna get messed up or assaulted or whatever. The response that I would get would be, yo, cabanga singabhaya amabhiya ayingakhi ngale nyuku. Like I was like, so the more I was like, how these guys, like, is this where we are now? So that made it easier, and what also made it extra easier was, I think I was 15, 16 at the time. I got into basketball. That
Yeah.
opened my world into a new crew, so to speak, and fly honeys. Yabo, abosisa bahle, abacula kahle, yabo, bayenza
Yeah,
amaswimso.
man. Abangena etamzu.
Yabo.
Madoda. Izinja madoda.
So anyway, then that opened me up into that space. Yabo.
Yeah.
But the point engishoyo ukuthi, okay, back to Rupert. What I picked up from that book was a lot of the things that we own or we like to own as black people. Akusizinto zethu. It's izinto zabantu who've been through, like you said, a traumatic experience and some kind of oppression and all that.
Yeah.
Because the book says the same thing that I see amongst us as abantu abamnyama. It says the same thing about Afrikaner people as they were trying to get themselves out of a grip ne oppression yama
Yeah.
English
Yeah, man.
to build themselves.
And poverty.
Yeah. So when I came across that, I was like, snap. I've seen this script. I live this script. This guy, the first company, I Kumbuli what they were selling, but it was the name was an Afrikaans name, yeah, business yaki, essential Anton, and none of his people were supporting them. He says when they changed the name from an Afrikaans name to an English name,
Yeah.
imali yangena, yangena imali.
Awuthi,
Yeah,
yazi ngicinga
yeah.
le ncwadi ngifuna ukubonisana. Oh, actually, nayi la.
Mm. What does it say?
Uh,
Your fortunes. Who's the author? I can see that Domi say something. Ibe. How do you pronounce that name? I've seen that name.
Ibit Domise, The Rise
Mm.
and Rise of Afrikaner Tycoons.
Mm.
And yeah, Burupe is here.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, um, extremely important.
Mm.
Of course, and because here's the thing, I think the Afrikaners, they a beautiful case study that we're sleeping on as a people because it is close to home.
Mm.
Very similar to dynamics. I mean, even the fact that they developed the language itself. I mean, Afrikaans,
Mm.
language being echo, right?
Inventiwe ndoda.
It's a
Yeah.
fairly new language, bruh. But
Yeah,
look at it
yeah,
now. You can
yeah.
you can trade, bruh.
Yeah.
Like you can do sciences, you can do technology.
Mm.
You can do Afrikaans, and
Yeah.
then ngapha mawuthi uyabheka isiZulu, bruh. There's no
Mm.
name. I don't know a name for a computer. I know it was invented back in the day, but it was like super long name and no one's gonna use that name.
Mm.
Aleki igama computer, let alone everything else. And it's like there is a case study right here,
Mm.
very close
Mm.
to home, very similar dynamics, poverty, oppression, but the aspect of unity, if you look at the structures that they created back in the day, around
Yeah.
1918, there's still funds, go UCT, that are funding Afrikaner students that were created in
Mm.
1918. And mina ngumzulu, there is no fund that I can go to and be like, hey, ngikwaZulu, ngikwaZulu, let me apply for this fund.
Mm.
I want to go study, this and that in the UK. I want to study robotics
Mm.
in Germany. And ngibuye ngizo-empowerisha abantu bakithi. There's no such a
Yeah.
thing, let alone a youth fund, to invest in startups.
Mm. Mm.
Amazulu, for example, and then yet we pride ourselves and be like, yeah,
Mm.
ngumZulu mina, hey, culture, hey, beautiful, hey, obheke,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
sigiye kube mnandi, and it's
Yeah.
like, we continue to be I think we continue to sleep on ourselves. We continue to be loyal to systems and structures that are not loyal to us, that are not advancing us as a people.
Mm.
Um, Essentially, our culture, when you look at it, it is a museum culture. Think about
Mm.
it. What has changed? Um, what is new today that wasn't there 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, from a
Sure.
cultural
Sure.
perspective? Nothing.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Even if you look at, um, you know, bantu bakwaZulu bondaba ezethu aningangishayi, but let's be honest, man. Let's look at the army and let's look at the arms
Yes.
that were used back then.
Yes.
Ngeyikhathi zeyinkosi uShaka. And then what have we developed from there? Have
Yeah.
we done research? Have we developed any further from that point? That's why I'm like, we have got a
Yes.
museum culture. It's beautiful. Build museums, and then let's take this generation and our kids and like, hey, this is what the
What we've
great
done.
Zulu Empire. This is what we once did as a nation. Beautiful,
Mm.
sharp.
Mm.
Let us inspire you. But now after that, then what?
Mm.
So that is the whole aspect. And that's why I'm saying we're sleeping on a beautiful case study as Afrikaners because we're like, no, I'm a pawn, apartheid, and whatnot.
Mm. Mm.
And and that is not that is true, by the way. That is true. That feeling that we have, that perspective, it is true. It can also be true to be like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, so quite nani outrage and all of that. But then what? Who do we learn from in order for us to build these systems, these processes, these structures, these institutions that are going to empower us and lift us up from poverty,
Mm,
so that we can then deal with the social issues and the problems that we have in our societies today. So I think, if we're not going to be honest, if we're not going to have honest conversations, firstly,
yeah.
if we're not going to reflect, if we're not going to engage, if we're not going to learn from within the culture and outside of the culture, then I'm not sure. I think
This is right. Yeah.
I'm not sure what to speak mfowethu.
Yeah. You know what's the sad thing? I've read it. Well, I have never finished it. I must get the audio book. I struggle to finish Inwatiziga Robert Greene. I don't know. You know Robert Greene, yeah?
Ah, man, I
Yeah.
consume him through podcasts, through interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The style
that's
that he
interesting.
writes, like well, it's an easy read because Bamba, but they're quite thick. I've got a book of his also not next to me called 33. What is this book? Let me see. Okay, no, it's that side. It's called 33 Strategies of War.
Yeah, man.
And I'm sure it's not the only book where he mentions this. In that book, there's a chapter where I analyze different strategists, as in like I'm a strategist away in Piavo, and King Shaka Zulu is one of them. Yeah, I understand. And when I
Yeah,
read that part, I was like, here's a white man of whatever origins. I don't. I think he's American. No? I assume.
yeah,
Uyenze research yakhe and all that, read about, it's not the history that we were taught about Ushara, you understand, which I've never believed outside of my high school years. There's no way that this guy was like this savage that was taught in
mm,
schools, my history books, you understand.
mm, mm.
Um, and the way I Kazanga corner, when you talk about learning from other cultures, here's a white guy who wrote a book about strategies of war. He includes people from different cultures or races, and there's Chinese, there's Japanese, there's
Yeah, man.
European,
Yeah,
there's,
man. Yeah,
there's
man. Yeah,
Africans,
man.
and all that.
You know.
And why don't we learn that? Is it okay? Okay, this guy Rupert, how did they do this thing? There's
Mm,
there's a long article that I came across. I must find the link. Um, that that speaks of how the Afrikaners did affirmative action, yeah, and how it worked for them. Because this is not a new thing. I know, I think maybe some of us think it's a post '94 thing. Triple B and all those things. These were templates that were borrowed, but when it comes to us, as I guess they executed in an effective way.
yeah.
But this brings me to the next question. I think ngizofuna ukuhamba ngiyoyenza i-refill soon. You'll have to keep our audience.
Uzongishiya ngishumayela mina la. Vele ngingane kamfundisi vele. So, hayi
Yeah,
ugcobo into ekhona.
Shuvani, so and my question to you before ngihamba to like just for a small short break. As abantu abamnyama, in your opinion, and I think I know the answer, but I think we need to maybe state it in a much more direct and clear way. Are we doing enough in terms of mangiti enough? Ne? Senkulma,
Mm,
with something that you can measure. You understand? Not in terms of social media measurements. Ukuthi ngipostile ngathola ama-likes ayi-100, ama-retweets ayingakhi and all that. But I can measure the impact and say, from my own people, this is what I've introduced, this is how I've benefited, this is
mm.
what I am doing has benefited them also in return. Ne? Do you think we are doing enough or anything at all that is meaningful in terms of achieving Laoma goals? Or is it lost in translation somewhere with a social media space uh, or banter or whatever? If we must take it out of the social media where in our corners wherever we meet. You understand? If usemsebenzini next to the babies and conjure the water cooler, whatever thing where you get your water, you make your coffee, pause area. Are we doing anything at all? If so, is it enough? If not, what do we need to do kahle kahle? Ngizokubamba lapho kancane bese ngiyabuya ne.
Okay, okay, brother.
Ngiyabuya, I'm leaving you in the capable hands of Umageba.
Awuthi ke ngibuye ukuthi manje leli platform leli it's but anyway I'm just reflecting with myself here, you know, ukuthi I think life is multi-layered, multifaceted, and often things are not as simple as we make them out to be. And I think also the other aspect is that we get to focus so much on the negative. Ikakhulukazi, you know, when people analyze the situation, for example, again in the context of black people, we tend to focus so much on the negative, you know, as if there isn't, you know, positives and there are not great things, you know, that are happening. And you know, if we use the most popular, you know, examples today, you know, Batu, for example, your drips, you know, of this world, via, you know, that there's so many of these brands. In fact, I live in Namaj. I mean, auction culture, if you think about it, you know, into Yakdala and look at the music, you know, aspect. Of course, there's a lot of bootlegging, but you know, there's a lot of people supporting and buying music, local music, going to shows, you know, and things like that. So I think obviously, ideally, and on paper, I think we would like to be in a much better position than we find ourselves in today. But you know, I honestly think that there's a lot of great happening within our communities, within our spaces. There's your Meg Cheese, for example, biggest podcast in the continent. Again, who is supporting that? You know, it's us. It's not a bunch of Chinese people, you know, subscribing to the podcast. So you know, so there's so many of those examples. TV again, you know, radio, fashion, our businesses, a lot of them are supported largely by our people from the hood, from the township, and things like that. So I think there's a lot of positives. There's a lot of great, but I think where we fall short, it is in documenting. It is in the storytelling aspect of things where it's like all these great things. Who captures them? Who captures all these great things that happen, you know, in our spaces, you know, because there's a lot of them, you know, and that's what sparked me to actually create that platform, Lifestyles that I back in the day 2016. I was like, in that, but there's always like, you know, talking about breaking news, like Linda, but someone has died, chase ni moto, utshontshile, uboshiwe, ubulala umuntu, that kind of thing, you know, and that makes us think and believe that the world is a toxic place. The world is a dark place. It's so bad. It's the end. Jason Abuya no any kind of vibe, you know, which is not true. There's a lot of great things that are happening. You know, BrownSense today, one of the, you know, biggest platforms. Who is in there? It's not again a bunch of, you know, white people. So there's a lot of great things that are happening in our spaces, bro. Like that's just a point I'm trying to make. There's a lot of great things that are happening. Your Batus, your Drips of this world, I believe that they should be going public. They should be going IPO in the next few years. They should be looking at that. So like, hey, how do we go IPO as Drip? How do we go IPO as Bat so that we can take things to the next level? We can be valued in billions now, you know, and that kind of thing. And again, it's our people who are buying those products. So where we fall short, Tamzu, we're not documenting our great. We're not documenting the great things and the great stories, you know, that are happening, the great progress that we see. We're not documenting that. BrownSense is not documenting, its impact, its power. And that is why people are like, I approve of my post it. So people
Yeah,
see that, like that's what they see. That is what being broadcast, and that's what sticks to their mind. And then because all of the stuff that is happening in the back end, the great things, it's only you and your team that knows about it. You know what I mean?
that's true. Yeah.
So up until you like, as in, let me document this thing. Let us package comic books. Let us get a partner, Time Bank, IBM, whatever, so that they can fund and subsidize this thing. We can distribute this thing to schools. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
that iy'ngane esikoleni, like the big nabo super strikers back in the day and things like that,
Yeah,
that would get. Where is that today? That is documenting and telling our own stories. There is ethi Mogolong, kunamajita lapha who are developing games, right?
yeah,
Lapha eBramfontein. The question that we should be asking is, what content are they capturing, and then what are the stories that they're telling in those games? Because
mm,
now we need to be like, we need to influence, the content, the storytelling aspect, the great things that are happening within our spaces, so that in
mm,
these games, in these comic books, in these movies, in these documentaries, in these skits that are trending on your Twitter and your Facebook and things like that, it is the great things that are happening. So we need to go on a positive brainwash, what you call process, where we
yeah,
brainwash ourselves, but with the great things that are happening, because there's a lot of great things, bro, that are happening in our spaces, and we should
yeah,
not make a mistake of always focusing on the negative. So my thing is that there's bad things that are happening, there's good things that are happening, and it's always gonna be like that,
definitely. Yeah,
we're majority black country, we're majority black continent, so obviously we're gonna be exposed to a lot of bad, we're gonna be exposed to a lot of good that we choose to ignore. But I think it's all happening, and that's how we always need to look at it. There's both good, there's bad, and kuzohlezi kuhambisana nje, light as well as dark, kuzohlezi kukanjalo, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And so we
true,
should not
true.
beat ourselves about it. I also believe that also iy'ngane zamanje, the next generation is also doing much better, because we've taken them, to the right schools. We're giving them the right support. We've learned from the mistakes of the past, from our parents and things like that. So when you engage with these kids, your 13-year-olds, your 14-year-olds, bro, like they're super super intelligent. Super intelligent. They don't have a lot of traumas, at least most of them. So you realize that I think if there's any people that are really going to shift the narrative and the culture, it is definitely the next generation, because of the
True,
support, the structure, that they enjoy.
true. Sorry, I had to move around because my guy here fnuka ngaphandle uzikhulula ngixolele. He was busy like bugging me like that stop.
It's cool, bro. It's cool, bro.
No, thanks for that. That is really true. I think, sure, I don't know how to respond to that, to be honest, but it's true. Except to say that it's true. Um, but also, let me ask you this, ne? So I had a meeting, I think, when was it? About 2 weekends ago. Pretoria, not Pretoria, a Midrand, with a family that owns a farm, a hemp farm, in Newcastle. I did post about it quick group. I didn't give the details who this Indaba, but I may have done an article that is on our e-commerce platform that I shared. And one of the questions they asked me was what's the long-term plan or the next plan in terms of next chapter, scaling up and all that. And my response was it's to find, how do I put this in a way that doesn't offend people? Yes, kumuli story saka Gideon ebhayibhilini.
Why are we exposing each other now, bro?
I need to tell Baba Kumfundis. I told Baba Kumfundis.
Hey,
Okay.
bro, I didn't see that one coming. Yo, no, don't. I guess Kumbul is a story.
I'll remind you. Let me check this guy because Gyanet and Apad, I think, or not. or Puzaman's. So I get to Gideon in the old, I think it's somewhere which, oh, Judges, it's in the book of Judges. If anyone is listening, well, it might be like in the script, it's in the book of
What's
Judges.
the verse? What's the verse?
I don't remember, but I know he good Judges. We Old Testament, ne?
Mhm.
So Gideon was a coward, yabona. Bekayisaba nje impi, this guy, and the story goes that an angel appeared to him, and when the angel appears to him, Gideon was feel,
Yeah.
and the angel addresses him as a warrior, something like that, man of God or warrior of God, which is contrary to the picture that is painted with this guy Uyigwala, and he's so scared, he's busy hiding himself. But here's the angel calling him a warrior. Man. Then he's called to build an army. I think the army was to fight against the Philistines, the arch rival Lema Israelites in the Old Testament. And he picked, I don't remember the exact number, but it was in the thousands of men that were going to fight. And God gave him a test to go to abantu ozobathatha to the next level. So basically, take these guys to the river by Puza mines, and there was a way with how do they drink the water. Others were lapping it up like izinja. Others were using their hands to drink the water. I don't remember which of the two categories God said pick the ones who drink the water like this. But the number was lesser, far lesser than the original number. So my point to her was, and this has been a blessing and a curse for the BrownSense, right? People approach us, but oh, you're 223,000. I'm a ninja calculators, right? And already they've calculated, even if we hit 10%, it's in Nandi, I understand. And I've always said to them, that's not how it works. Do you understand? So because people are there for their own reasons. As fun as like not everyone is there for the same reason of we are building the black nation. That's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
It's not everyone who is there for hashtag buy black, hashtag black excellence or whatever. Um, Abanye, they're like, it's a right platform. Ngizoba scammer goed. Do you understand? And we've been dealing with cases of people that have come into the group. Sorry, I'm just gonna lock the door. And all they've been doing is scamming people and all that. Sorry, guys, it's not a perfect stream. Um, so my point being, Uguti, yes, document and all that, but also have we also been naive, enough to think in this space, sonke sizing inqondo efanayo. You understand? With the same intention, this is what we want to achieve. And maybe this is one of the things that is causing a lag or a delay in us getting to the promised land, so to speak. Do you understand? We see it in our so-called leaders, you know,
Get it. Get it.
where you would have thought how we've got a black government in place. They know our
Mm,
pain as abantu abamnyama. Our president
mm.
can't claim that he doesn't know a pain yokuba umuntu omnyama.
Mm.
There's no minister in government that can claim, even any black person that has grown or was born into privilege. Like when Amovela, Ubaba was a millionaire or a billionaire. You know why? Because as a black person, you've got that uncle, that cousin, that aunt, that someone in your family, or struggling with poverty. So even if poverty is not directly felt or hitting your direct family, we extended family, yakshaya. And those are the cousins that maybe when you have family gatherings, you don't want to hang out with. You don't want to talk to them because bazokucela imali or they're gonna make you feel like vele wena since we were kids, whether you were the cousin that speaks English and was ukhuluma nathi ngesiNtu. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about the realness, also I think we also need to turn the mirror and ask ourselves, Uguti, have we been naive as Black people to think that the only way we can make it is as one, as i.e., Black unity.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And maybe try Biako Abanta by three, and you just need to find those three people.
Exactly, man. Exactly, and that's one of the points that people miss. Uphenwele mayikhuluma ngazo,
Mm.
think about this. And that this hit me. I think njengoba looking ngifunda lezi ncwadi lezi, it hit me ukuthi think about it. The
Mm.
Afrikaners, for example, who are pretty much like killing it in the space of business. Do they go like, no, the only people who are gonna buy from us is Afrikaners?
No, 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 no,
imali ukuthi iqhamuka kuphi,
no.
it does not
Mm.
matter. So I think this is the mistake also that we continuously make, as a people, to think that, yeah, because I'm Black, then I need to save these Black people, and then therefore the rent needs to come from Black people. And that's why I also get really super mad when people ask me, I'm like, yeah, what about the poor? The fact that I'm from the township, it does not mean that now I'm a
That's
product
your
that I
customer
sell.
base. Yeah.
That, what I mean? Like, it does not mean that. And as a matter of fact, we also confine ourselves so much that even masenza ama products sicabanga is South Africa kuphela, for some
Ish.
odd reason, which I do not understand. I always complain about this, even with in music, bruh. Ukuthi ama musicians wethu, bruh, they would be killing it. Look at what Amapiano, what Amapiano, like Amapiano, bruh,
Mm.
killing it, not just in
Mm.
Africa,
Mm.
killing it globally. And yet, ama musicians wethu abhizi lana ayabhifa amabhifini amancane,
Mm.
kubangwa ama-club nyana, what I mean? Like, dude, just go
Mm.
on and conquer the world, bruh. Go on and
Mm.
conquer the
Mm.
world. Your music is being streamed in the UK. Your music is, of course, we're seeing the shift, a bit, but we tend to confine ourselves so much, like, South Africa. And South Africa is a very small market, bruh. Very small
Yeah.
market. But we start to think about Zimbabwe, we start to think about Kenya, start to think about, then the conversation, your perspective, the way that you see things, the way that you package yourself changes. We
Mm.
never hear about South America, South America, for example. The only time we have a conversation about South America is when we think about football, talking about Messi.
Or that
You're talking
carnival, let's say Brazil, let's say
that's the
Ivagasel.
that's the only time we think about South America, bruh.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on in there. We don't know what the stuff that they're resonating with, the stuff that they may want. Maybe Idrip can kill it, right there.
Mm.
So it's all those it's all those things that we need to think about. Ukuthi, let's stop confining ourselves to
Mm.
our spaces. I mean, ngwaseSoweto, and therefore sekumele-ke ngicabange-ke ngendaba ukuthi no, so let's open up our perspectives and let us stop obsessing over indaba ye-race, bafowethu. That thing is not going to grow us. Let us interact with other cultures. Let us interact with other spaces. Let us pitch our ideas, in other spaces, and as you are saying, Damzu Uti, let's get our tribe, regardless if they are purple, if they are green, if they are
Mm.
pink, because indaba, yokuthi sihlezi obsessed ngendaba ukuthi black, I do not think that we're going to advance our economy that way. I don't think that we're going to build sustainable, enterprises, if we continuously want to confine ourselves and play
Mm.
small.
Can I say something? A noble controversy, Nyana, ne? Um, I'm gonna share a story. It's a made up story. An old friend of mine, made up years ago. We were out for dinner one night, ne? And angisazi ukuthi kuze kanjani sikhulume about this. And then I think I said something that triggered me to sort of remake that story. Which is a sad thing, by the way. But the way she painted it, I was like, hey, it's really, hey, okay, sex ebusuku, so it's really fucked up. Abantwana balele, ne? Yeah, it's really fucked up. So into ayisho ukuthi I'm gonna go back to the Bible. Unoah.
Yes, Bishop. Yes. BrownSense Ministries International. No. Think about it, bro. Think 200. No, think about it. 200,000 members. BrownSense Ministries,
10%
bro.
now.
Bro. Like, think about it, bro.
Although I'm not pro tithe by the and I've got an argument against the tithe. Creflo Dollar came out. He was trending recently.
I remember. No. Against them are tight because they're not coming to you. Once they come to you, and I am the treasurer, by the way. So
but I was like, oh, Creflo vindicated me. You know, I said I was once in a BBM group. Saying I digress. Back in the days of BBM, I was in a BBM group. And and I raised this argument.
Story time with Mzu.
You know, tithe and all that. And I was coming with Bible scriptures. You know, at the end of my argument,
yeah,
the only response they had was to call me a heathen. Like they didn't come back to me with counter. They were like, heathen.
Tandazelen, umfan.
Anyway, before tithe.
I don't know.
Controversy. I was talking about the controversy, ne? So I'll bring back brother Penwell into the conversation because there's a video circulator after the video where he said he has joined the AfriForum.
Yeah.
Ne? Or he's joining. He's not saying he has. He said he's going.
I think
we don't know.
I think he said he has signed up. I think he has as a paying member.
Well, he said he submitted the application. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we don't know if BAM accepted it or not. But
yeah,
I've read. By the way, I've gone 3 websites here AfriForum, but not recently. And their membership, whatever, they don't say you have to be whatever race. Ne? The last time I checked it. So when I saw that video, I was like, okay. Anyway, then there's another video that came out where he was talking about dying for Abantu Abamnyama is not worth it and all that.
I remember that. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
People use it to drive the point to Guti, this guy is a sellout, whatever. I can't testify to that. I don't know him that well. I've met him like once in person.
Yeah.
Even when we met, it was like this party panel in some TV show on SABC1. Sike sachayisana ngamakhanda ku-Facebook that we inbox some years ago. You understand us? So you know, but there's also something about growing, you know. Kunabantu that I've along the journey, you know, that I think if I would meet some of them now, I'm all about peace now. I'm like, hey, my energy is not about it's all about we don't have to agree with one another. How do we find some common ground?
Exactly.
If we don't find it, it's also fine. You understand that?
Yeah, bro.
My energy right now is about okay, how do we find ways to scale what we are doing and make and hit that greater impact? Do you understand? One of my flaws, it's one of the things that annoy, you know, ladies that I've dated. But my shot left and my shot right, and then I forget what I wanted to say.
Panwell is the conversation, bro.
No,
back to the.
no, the conversation is controversy. I said I have a controversial point. Penguin was a digression.
I know. Let's stick on the penguin
So,
one.
so, so le video ayikhulumi le circulatayo ukuthi abantu abamnyama they're not worth dying for and all that.
Mm,
Obviously, even the presentation, my opinion is it's meant to spark an emotional response. That's how things go viral. And it's like you spark some, you piss people off one way, you strike a nerve, you touch people in their studios, then it's gonna be like, you know, hey, whatever. I'm not saying he doesn't believe what he said, um, but I did understand what he means. I understood it because historically, maybe except for a few, historically, when you look at people that gave their lives to the movement or the struggle, um, we'll go to the likes of, it is particularly America, your Malcolm X's, your Martin Luther's, and all that. These these guys, what they got was a bullet, and they got killed, and their families struggled for some time after their deaths because
mm,
they were also the sole breadwinners or providers for their families. I think even more family like Malcolm X. I mean, like I remember, like hearing story after story, long after Sarah Shonile Lobab, how things unfolded with family. You understand? Excuse me. And all they get is a mural, a street name, iphelela lapho. And the mural corner at some point izoba it was with defecate and deface and all sorts of things. So from that perspective, do you understand? I understand where he's coming from. Um, I understand it also from a perspective, Yoguti, we are the weakest link, and we are our own worst enemy. Elihle is a brown sense. There's a post in Ifara whether this, but when I said this, I didn't only mean it brown sense. I just meant lumsebenzi esiwenzayo. Whether this succeeds or not is up to us. That's what I said. I don't remember if I said it in those words or not. But my point was, um, the way we can make this work, Agna WMC that will stand in our way if we really wanted it to work, and we were
mm,
committed to that.
mm,
Rupert with all of his money and all these other people with all their money, they wouldn't be able to stand in our way. That's the reason why they don't just use things that make sense against us. Do you understand? They use things that have an element here, hoodwinking, media, giving us things as those spicy, so keep us busy. Do you understand? The types of shows that are owned and broadcast on their own platforms to keep us busy and preoccupied with all of these things. Yeah, one.
mm,
That's why Rupert was able to sit in an interview with Ukivin Mkari and say all the nonsense that he was able to say, and as a white man, even be able to chime in about stereotypes, about, excuse my language, about dick sizes. Ukuthi yeah, vele
mm,
nina abantu abamnyama ngizwa bathi niso. Do you understand? When would you sit on a platform and comment on it dick size here in Yomlungu as a black man? You would
mm,
never even think of doing that, even if you had the means to do that. Why? Because of the way sikhuliswe ngakhona. Kunezinto esaziyo ukuthi I can talk and talk and talk, but lana ngiyaphelela. It's not for me to
mm,
comment on these things. But he
mm,
sat there and he was talking about bayajoka, bayahlekisana, ugiving naye uyahleka kumnandi. Bakhuluma ngombazima and whatever because he co-opted Lumama Lo, Wendy Luhabe. Do you understand what I'm saying?
mm,
America again, Joe Biden, an old white man, is able to say things like, if you don't vote for the Democrats, you're not black. An
mm,
old white man of a leader of a party that has a triple K Ku Klux Klan foundation. Uthi, if you don't vote for ama-Democrats, so kushuthi yena umphathi wama-black card e-America. Uyakwazi ukuyi-revoke and uyakwazi ukuyi-reinstate. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think when we don't understand how these things are set up and how they work, we fight for the wrong things. We get emotional for the wrong things.
Yeah.
It's ilento le ibizwa ukuthi, you know, that's how these businesses are able to come into our spaces. They take a lot more from us than what they give back. You understand? It's the doctrine of unequal exchange. Ngiyakubona soyazamula. Ushaye under the radar Mzamul. Let's agree to wrap it up in like 15-20 minutes.
Okay. Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it, bro.
So in that context, Lea video I understand the way he's coming from. It delivery becomes very, very critical, because I think that's where people can lose the meaning of what someone is saying. Yay is also guilty of that. He says a lot of things that you would really have to give yourself time to sit down and listen to him. Ne? But if you're gonna catch sound bites,
then you're gonna find yourself in trouble. But you know, I think the thing is, I think Lalele indaba kadu show indaba, for example, the media, and I'm like, you know, and also the conversation here at Monopoly Capital as well. You know, it's like, bro, of course these things is a corner, you know, I'm not saying as but I think we just give too much power to these things. You know, the amount of power or decision making that we have as a people that can really, you know, change the game in our, you know, regional spaces. For example, let's talk about the Masipala. Ungenaphi uRubey kuMasipala?
Yes,
you know,
I think, yeah.
And the sort of decisions that are made in terms of what sort of programs and initiatives are we going to invest in as a municipality, you know, in this respective region, small scale. Because the problem is, when we think about development or transformation, we tend to look at the president, Ramaphosa, wenzani, you know what I mean? We've already lost the conversation. Let's look at, in our smaller spaces, smaller communities. What exactly is happening in these communities? Small scale, bro. What's happening Gule Wadilena? What's happening in Zone 6, Pimville? What's going on? You know, like, let's just break it down, because we don't understand things at that level. Karamaphosa, you know what I mean? Like, generally speaking, a lot of the conversations that are happening there, we don't understand that. But we can understand ukuthi, okay, this small garden la, and then nomakhelwane naye utshala amakabishi nani. Okay, cool. What then do we do, you know, after this, you know? And that is, you know, we start with the fundamentals, you know, and things like that. So I think that sorry, I think that we give so much power to white people, to whatever, the establishment, whatever, you know, when in fact the reality of the matter is that we choose what we consume. Buka manje nansi imoja love, so that you can continue to believe that, you know, this is all that you're about. You know what I mean? Yes, it is there, but you choose, you know, and we choose also to open up this. You know what I did back in the day? I remember I blocked channels. You know, when I used to stay at home, blocked channels from my younger sister. She hated me. She didn't understand. I'm like, you're not gonna watch. You're not gonna watch Tracy. You're not gonna watch Channel O. You're gonna watch all because you
Go
as a
for
young
eating
girl, you know, as you know, like
Community Podcasting
uzolokhu
Network. Yeah.
uzolokhu ubuka lento, and then you grow up with that mentality and understanding as a woman ukuthi, yeah, as a woman I need to be naked, I need to parade my body, for the entertainment of men, what I mean. We groom our children, we ourselves. It's not Rupe, it's not
Yeah.
wide monopoly capital. We groom our children to that reality through the content that we allow in our own spaces. We groom them through allowing them cell phones, and we don't control these cell phones. I mean, kunama apps where you can essentially manage the sort of content and
What
access
they
that your
watch. Yeah.
children have. But awunendaba, I mean, technology angiyazi mina. But you
Mm.
know everything else that's happening. You know the latest trends in the street. You know that the latest alcohol that's popping. You know everything. But somehow, technology mina angiyazi mina. Hey, thina sesibadala. No, man, F
Mm.
you. Just
Mm.
spend a little bit of time and just like, let me spend time, and let me just teach myself this
Invest
thing.
the time. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think, yeah, we give them a lot of power, bro. If we were to wake up tomorrow and then we decide to go to see you take the shop, right? No one is gonna come with a gun and say, "Zo, hambi Shoprite, hambi Spa, hambi Pick and Pay, hambi Woolworths." No one is gonna do
Mm.
that. We can just choose, and like I as in sizothenga kuleya mjida, cela usilethela amakabishi mfethu, sicela usilethela utamatisi nani nani, asihlanganisele imali. We've got these churches. What are these churches doing? Those are platforms where we can mobilize ourselves. We've got our
Exactly. Yeah.
groups, like mama WhatsApp groups, in our respective neighborhoods. Hey, as in sicela amakabishi amangasicela in imalini, ubani une-farm, ubani unani. Sicela ulethe i-van la estradini
Yeah.
uzosidilivela amakabishi no-anyanisi nani. What else do we need? What are you doing then at ShopRite? You know,
Yeah. For sure. For
ingenaphi
sure.
what monopoly capital lab. So I think a lot of these things, bruh, like we just set ourselves up and then we
Mm.
continue to be like, yeah, I just saying is my boss just saying is you sell yourself out every day. By
Yeah.
you going to ShopRite, you're selling yourself out. You're selling your people out every single day. But
Yeah.
busy, utupenwell ngapha is a sellout. Is a sellout. Wena,
Sure.
ugqokeni khona manje? What are you wearing, bruh? Ugqoke lento
Yeah.
igqokile, ile fabric le igqokile iqhamukaphi? Iqhamuke kandle. Where is it coming from? Iqhamuke ejozini. Ejozini kunokotini, by the way. Kutshalwa ukotini laphayana.
Ukhumbuza
You know,
ijozini indoda. Yeah.
so but lo kotini ogqokile kodwa, hayi mina Italian mina, kusha ukotini wase Italy mina. You know what I mean? Like, you're busy
Mm.
breaking out here. You're selling yourself every single day by the decisions that you take. What am I buying? What
Mm.
am I watching? What restaurant am I going to? You know,
Mm.
what I mean? Like, so we always constantly selling ourselves out, bro. So I think
Mm.
izinto ey'kanjalo yokuthi we give a lot of power to this devil, and I think perhaps that is the brainwashing and the indoctrination that comes perhaps with religion and things like, usathane njalo uhlezi blame usathane. What about you? What is your
Yeah.
responsibilities? What
Yes.
was your responsibilities? The same thing with the relationship. When I meet girls and they'll be like, yeah, hey, that guy was toxic. My ex was toxic. And what was your
Wena.
responsibility? What was your responsibility? You're
They are
cold, whatever.
innocent.
No. You
They are
allowed
innocent.
him into your space. Take responsibility. Take the responsibility. And up until we take responsibility as a people, we're gonna continue to fuck ourselves over.
Yeah. You know what? And what I've realized is really how complex this whole thing is. Because as you are talking, sorry, just give me 1 second. My Bluetooth speaker see flat.
This is the last break. This is the last break.
This is what you are hearing. Logia beep, and just 1 second.
Oh, yeah, man.
Sure.
After the break, Zulu is going to be wrapping up.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I forgot. I left my Bluetooth speaker behind me. See on my scissors about flat.
Okay, bro.
What I realized is the way complex I corner this thing dot. So I agree with what you're saying. I think I also want to play devil's advocate. Um, yes, we can't blame WMC. We've got the means or the ability, capability to not buy from them, and therefore disempower them and empower ourselves. In terms of how we spend our money. The flip side engicabangayo while you are talking is the way impilo zethu zi-fucked up ngakhona as abantu abamnyama. And remember, yazi the way apartheid it was, and I think we need to have a session on this on one of these streams where we get someone that can unpack it from a technical perspective, technical, not emotional, technical, looking at the legal framework, looking at the spatial, is that the spatial, like how they kuneSoweto, kuneMlazi,
Oh yeah, I get it.
you
Spatial
understand?
planning. Yeah.
Spatial planning.
Yeah,
It
man.
was not accidental.
Kuthiwa i-demarcation
It was not
kamasipala.
accidental. Yeah, it was not accidental ukuthi thina
Yeah,
sibekwa la.
it wasn't.
The
It wasn't.
quality of the soil
Bruh,
ayifani
bruh,
nala, like
iy'hlahla ey'seSoweto ney'hlahla ey'se-Gauteng.
asifani.
Hayi bruh, akusey
You
even
can't
ilanga mfethu, even ilanga indlela elikushisa ngayo
ilanga
laphana
likushaya
e-Gauteng.
you
Akusey,
understand?
mawuseSoweto bese liyakushaya futhi ilanga. Hey, akusey.
You can't build skyscrapers in a township or a village or whatever. Whereas, like the way bebathara ngakhona, and I think that that's possibly the first place to begin, where we need to simplify it in a way
Bruh,
that even
bruh, sorry.
the slowest of people to get these things gets it.
Sorry, man. Sorry. I was
Yeah.
telling Bengchela
Mm,
Bangan because some days ago. Oh yeah, I was having a meeting with another, beautiful
yeah.
lady. She's
Mm.
hot, man. Like she's I'm like, she's edible, bro.
Focus.
Like, hey.
Hey,
Okay,
ikakhulu
and
labo
anyway.
edible and women in wine bazostrike. Hey,
Buzzer
focus
strike.
on your
Sorry.
work. Yekela abafazi
Okay.
but
Okay.
mm.
Okay. Anyway, so so I'm like, if you were, I mean, bro, I think is maybe
Yeah.
I'm just too, I don't know what's in, maybe too raw or raw. The first
Mm.
thing, bro, the first thing that was supposed to be done, and the first thing that I would do if Mangatua magic wand, and then I wake up as a real president, not this democracy thing, like a real president.
Mm.
Like you see in spaces like China, and stuff like
Yeah.
that, where the president has the real authority.
Nepal. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would be like, ngicela ukuthi ngicela i-army ukuthi ikhanda amatende, the same way that there is what do you call this, abantu laba abahlala temporarily near the border, what do you call that? Come on, refugees.
Refugees. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll be like, exe, i-order le, CIC. Let's set up these camps, temporary spaces. Wonke umuntu ngikhiphe dates, then they can do that because when you saw i-lockdown, bruh, banawo labantu authorities mabethanda. But anyway,
Hey, but
say like it was really funny, like for me to see something like that happening in South Africa, knowing we
yeah.
see Amara in
Oh,
South
but
Africa, I'm like,
ngiyakwazi ukwenza so yeah.
how uyakwazi amaphoyisa kanti ayasebenza amaphoyisa ayazivala left and right. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
sure.
Anyway,
Sure.
siyamemezela emsakazweni, and then kuhambe nama helicopter memezela mphakathi, on this date niyaphuma niyavacate these spaces,
Mm.
and then behambe beyohlala in these refugee camps for a period of time, and then we bomb the fuck out of these spaces. Just
Some of our
bomb.
refugee camps.
Alexandra mfethu,
Abasuke kunabantu.
yeah, exactly. Destroy that thing, bruh.
Awukubhoma
Destroy,
indawo nabantu.
destroy Alexandra, Soweto, Mlazi, mfethu. Ngiqede
Mm.
nya. And then bese ngithi, okay, cool. We've destroyed these spaces. Abantu bahlezi laphayana siyabafida nani. What now? Okay, now let us now design spaces for our people. Let us
mm,
design modern villages for our people. Let us design
mm,
modern homes, decent homes for our people, there's things like 3D printing, 3D printed homes, for example. There's so much that we can now do in order to fast track that process, in terms of the construction. And then let's look at the proper spaces, because lezi ndawo lezi koSoweto nanamuhla bheka indawo bengamelanga kahle kahle kwezinye zazi ukuthi kuhlala abantu. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Even eKasilam la ngiphuma khona, it's a wetland, bruh. It's a wetland. Abantu
yeah,
bashawa asthma and things like that. Kumanzi, kugcwele amanzi, like people are not supposed to be staying here. You
yeah,
know, let us design spaces for our people, and then let us reimagine life after apartheid. Let us reimagine life after colonialism, looking at, of course, our identity as a people, looking at our cultures, and looking at where we are as a nation and where we want to go. And then, I guess, iqaleni kahle lento phansi. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like for me, that was like, ideally, that's what I would want to do, because I do not
yeah,
see why are we proud of these spaces, because they are not ours. They were not
yeah,
designed by us. They were designed for our
yes,
destruction. And in
yeah,
any case, akumelanga ngabe kuhlala abantu kulezi ndawo lezi. In any case, it's not
mm,
healthy. There's a lot of toxic, stuff that's going on in those spaces. And then let us, as I say, let us reimagine, impilo yethu
yeah.
as sisingabantu, because that's where it starts, bro. Environment, ingane ekhulela kuyona, is absolutely
Eish,
everything.
ingane needs both parents.
Those spaces, bro. When you look at the lifestyle in these townships, bro, you're like, no, man. Ingane ikula, looking at umjita, where polo and golf, and then they aspire to be there. To Friday, kumele kugcwale cooler box,
Exactly.
get the honeys, and then that cannot be
It's
life. We
not,
cannot be
no.
proud of those spaces and be like, yeah, kaslam lil. What are you proud of, bro?
Mm.
Yini leyo proud
And,
ngayo vele
and
kule
and
spaces.
that's my point, Uguti. So they this so yes, we do have the power to fight against the WMC, but also we need to realize what they've done, how they've done it, the power that they have. Because I can't fight an enemy and I'm understand. That's why you see one of the reasons that I say I open myself up to content that I don't always agree with is for me to understand. Even people that I don't have to like someone to listen to their content or to read their content.
Mm.
You understand? But it gets me. Mangfunda into abayibhalile or I listen to them. It gets me into their mind, like their headspace. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, all right. And for me, it's because I've gotten into that space where I'm able to like remove my emotions and just be technical about things. You understand?
Yeah.
So once we realize that, then you see what they've created the problem, and then they've also given us an escape. You see, if someone if your life sucks for the most part,
Mm.
you're not going to be thinking about building. You're going to the first thing you do is to think of an escape. So the escape might be alcohol. The escape might be moja love. The escape might be a groove every weekend. The escape might be promiscuity. It won't be anything that is constructive because most of your life you're spending it fighting this demon or this devil, like oppressor.
Mm.
By the time you're done fighting, Makfiki Friday, ukatel and dot. You're not
Mm.
thinking, let me build BrownSense. You're thinking, who can I have sex with? Who can I where can I get drunk and how and when and whatever. Come
Mm.
Sunday, now it's Monday, back to the grind again. You understand? So that's why actually, when I said let me play devil's advocate, it's to also maybe try to frame like for us to appreciate Uguti, it's not going to be as easy as let's stop buying from shop rights. You understand that? Because why? People will always do what is easy and convenient for them, even when it doesn't serve them. You understand? It doesn't
Mm.
serve me to go and buy from ShopRite because who am I empowering? The same person that's oppressing me. But guess what? ShopRite maybe is down the road from me, or it's on my app. Checker
Mm,
60 app.
mm. Yeah, yeah, man. I think obviously that's a valid point. But in Pilo, one of the
Mm,
things that you learn about life, the more you grow up, in fact, is that in Pilo is about trade-offs. You know,
mm, mm.
it's you always have got to make a decision. Ekugcineni kosuku,
Exactly. Yeah.
um, and I think we need to um ezinye izinto kumele at some point we can only make excuses up until a certain point, you know what I mean. There must be a point where we're like, yeah, Zini, yeah, well, we got screwed over, this is whatever, yeah, ngitshwenkathele, nani nani. But at some point we
And
need to just fucking wake up and be like, hey, where are we? Let's put in the work. And Mobuga to other cultures, Mobuga in other countries, people coming down south. It's crazy, bruh. Like, it's
mm,
crazy. People coming down south, like, baqala bedayisa kancane ingubo and whatnot. Now they are buying houses, bruh, in townships. And Abantu keep on moving out of their spaces, moving out maybe to the Babs, Abange, and
yes, yes,
whatnot.
yes, yes.
And you realize there's a shift that is happening. And if we continue to be like, yeah, ngicela, yeah, hey, mfethu, hey, we got screwed over, nani. At some point, we're gonna wake up, sithole ukuthi in parliament,
Checkmate.
that's what's gonna happen. In
Take
parliament,
the
in
Chinese.
council. Exactly. Kunama-Chinese, Somalians, there's all sorts of people in parliament, bruh, and these people are passing laws, you know, and kuzobe sekunjani-ke lapho,
So,
so it's coming, bruh. In fact, it is happening already. 1 or 2 nyana belokhu bangena eparliament, phela ngeke bengene sebewu-50, ungena
angeke
one,
vele. So
yabona.
it brings me to this point. This is what we need to do. No?
Mm.
We need to drive a brainwash campaign. Lempi angeke siyiwine nge-intellectual debate.
Sorry, Tamzu. Sorry, let me just cut you off there. Let me just cut you off there. You're not gonna have a conversation on such a platform that you do not own. Your people do not own this platform, bruh. Upizi, you wanna strategize? Come on.
No, my man. I'd say I
Sure.
abuse. The same way, the
Isaiah
same way.
Booz.
Ngama struggle days. Bebahlangana underground.
I
Angithi
yabona.
bebahlangana
Abo
underground
general
bayenza into
bamanje.
zabo.
This is
Sometimes
our
the
underground.
underground. Sometimes the underground. It bekuyindlu some Jewish person ehotini. Understand? Bahlangane baplan or a Rivonia, wherever. So the point, I think it's a two-prong approach. There's always room for intellectual debate and all that stuff because there is an audience for that, like Professor Paking. So hey, Prof. Yeah, what?
Hey, before you say, I, I actually saying, I say, and I'm getting at some bag and listening to. I was like, yo, man, Prof is fire, Prof is fire, bro. Why are they trying to fire here?
Because it's fire. But also some things needs to be dumbed down. And by dumbed down, I don't mean like make it, like simplify
Get it?
it. You
I get it,
understand?
man. I get it, man.
I'll give you an example before Slogan. There's a young kid I once invited to one of our markets. I think Langa Kilomfan.
I remember you telling me the
19 is a
story.
teen, like yeah.
I remember you told me the story.
So he came to the market. As I him brief, as I didn't prime him or whatever, like hey, do this, look for that or whatever. But him being there, he came to me during the market with excitement. He has never thought ukuthi kunabantu abamnyama who do such things. After
Hmm.
walking around the market, looking at what the traders they are selling or whatever they are doing. Do you understand? So there's different ways of doing this thing. So it's let me tell you what these people do. Kunabantu kwi-entertainment space who are plants. They are planted. Abanye musicians, the entertainers, we listen to their music, whatever. But they are there for an agenda, and when they open their mouths to talk, like the things that come out of their mouths serve that agenda that they are planted there for. Yabo? Ukuthi why thina singayidlali leyo game, I don't know why. It's almost like one of the things that
Well, some of us are playing that game, by the way. But anyway,
yeah.
story
So
for another day.
one of the things I taught my daughter when she was in the early days at primary school,
Mm.
about bullying and all that. Hey, wasn't like for the comment, but anyway, Begna some kid Babamhlupa at one stage, like bullying her and all that. And I was like, okay, have you reported them to the teacher? Like in terms of the process, your school, you understand? Bayenzani uthini? Because, like, I was trying to assess the severity of your situation before I got myself involved into that situation. But at some point, I said to her, look, if we end so, mkhahlele la, bese uyabaleka, and then find the nearest teacher. Do you understand? Mshaye la, wenze so, ubaleke and do that. Mina mabakubiza babathi umntana wakho ushaye umntwana omunye, I'll come in because you understand, and I'll know how to engage and protect you and defend you in that situation. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Why I'm saying that is that you can't equip yourself in a world that's no one is gonna play fair. You can't say fight fair. Don't bite, don't kick, don't throw things. Like follow ama rules with boxing when someone is busy breaking the rules. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So the one side has not been playing fair. And we have been hoping for fairness based on we
Ubuntu
hope
phela thina.
we hope
Ubuntu.
i-conscience yabo izobadla izovuka i-conscience unembeza wabo, and that's not going to happen.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
But Dr. Let's end it here. We didn't talk about the other. I think we touched on it, but I think it justifies the part three. Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna mention what that was.
That's if I won't be cancelled after this.
No, you know what? Talking about being cancelled, for me, no one should be contained as long as you state your your views in a respectful way. You understand? You're not like saying, "Hey, F all of you, hey, whatever."
I get it. I
You know,
get it,
this is
man.
what I
Like
think.
like
This is
like
how I
yeah,
see
like
it.
yeah did in that latest interview.
Yeah.
Because he was like, hey, bro, he was fighting, bro. He was like
Mm.
fighting.
But do you know?
Like,
Do you notice what Tibam cancel? Not cancelled, but the thing was cancelled or removed on YouTube because he pointed a finger at who? At Jewish people. You understand? Before that interview, he spoke a lot of bad things about black people or towards black people.
mm,
No one was swift to remove any interviews when he was doing that. As
mm,
soon as Akomba a finger to these people, this group of people,
mm,
what happened? For me, that's telling in terms of where the power dynamics lie, and it's not
yeah,
about the Rabakambelama because he was talking truth about
yeah.
it too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I really worry about that situation, guy. Yeah. But
Mm.
on one end, I'm like, he's an entrepreneur, bruh. And for us coming after, we need your years, we need your DJ Smooths, locally,
Yeah.
who do these things, but we learn from them.
Yeah.
they do shift the narrative, they do shift the culture to a certain extent,
Yeah.
but we learn from them, because I think what how we can look at things is, okay, oh yeah, said this, and then the interview was pulled down. Then we're like, oh, now we know where the power dynamics are, because a lot of
Mm,
us, a lot of people, let me just put it that way, did not know, ukuthi,
mm,
I mean, the power dynamics at play, le game kahle kahle ihamba kanjani. A lot of people,
yeah.
bacabanga ukuthi mabebona uSharlemagne and and
Mm,
all of them, yeah, those are there, they're running the show, and they don't know the sort of narrative
who,
behind
who's
the
putting this
agenda.
thing? Yeah.
Exactly, and how media works. So this is a great opportunity for those who are willing to learn. Oh, okay, igame kanjani. So how do you take that? Are you gonna be like, okay, cool, I need to make sure that I don't piece them off? Or now, if I want an investment, I want to pitch to someone, then
Mm.
possibly I need to go for, there's a
Yeah.
Jewish council and things like that. So now it's like, how then do you move, from that? But one of the things that he mentioned, which was key and which showed Uguti also, his he's on another level spiritually, is when he says we are also Jews as well, as
Mm.
black people. And I remember bumping into that information as I was reading a few
Yeah.
years ago. I think locally got to ngizofunda kuthiwa ama vendor, they are the closest, in fact, in terms of lineage indaba
I've
yama-Jews,
read
and
about that. Yeah.
and look at what they're doing. So I think izinto ey'kanjalo ukuthi, we learn, lezi zinye izinto, they are revealed to us through such things. And then it's up to us from there on as to how we move and how we use that information going forward.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Yeah. Thank you, man. The longest stream I've done so far. Thanks. Yeah.
Man, no, that's awesome, man. No, man, thank you so much
Yeah.
for for the hangout, bro. Like, it really is a
Sure.
pleasure, man. Like, having conversations with you. You are a hero, bro. You are a hero, man. So you're one
Mm.
of the people, as I said, man, that I really appreciate. And you're one of the people that we should appreciate, because of your efforts. In the empowerment agenda, opening up, access to economic opportunities, in the true sense of the word,
Mm.
seeing your trips, seeing your patus, and, your vias of this world, benefiting, immensely from a platform that we have built. I think that is groundbreaking. Of course, building is the thing about building. It's a very lonely space. It's a thankless job. Essentially, le nto
Yeah.
esiyenzayo. Kahle
Yeah.
kahle, so,
Yeah.
but for as long as, you're seeing the growth, you're seeing the shift. I think that's the purpose of a platform
Yeah.
such as
Yeah.
BrownSense. Anyway, it's not ukuthi umzuma sekufanele kube ne-statue, sekumele manje athandazelwe manje, I mean, like,
No.
but for as long as, more, enterprises coming
Yeah.
from our spaces, coming from our communities, are getting, the access, and they're getting the necessary empowerment and the support through a platform
Sure.
such as BrownSense, then you've done your job, bruh. Like,
Yeah.
you've lived to the purpose. And uma kuwukuthi likhona izulu, uzongena ezulwini for sure, what I mean, like, so. So yeah, man, keep on doing great, and keep on, inspiring us, bro.
No,
We love you, bro.
thanks,
We
man.
love you, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you back, man. And to you, thanks. You're one of the few people that I engage with in the safe WhatsApp spaces. Makuthiwa kunabanye
At
abaphethe
2 a.m. At 2 a.m. 3
Makuthiwa
a.m. Like
kunabantu abaphethe
this,
ama-screenshot.
like this
No,
old man.
no,
This
no.
old man is gonna collapse in a meeting because akalali ebusuku busy. Hey, ubheke la ndoda, hey, check it out.
Hey, sugar and spice. Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you,
No,
man.
man, I
Really
enjoyed
appreciate
this.
it, man.
Thanks, eh. Thanks.
Thank you so much, brother.
I enjoyed this. Sharp, ne?
Sharp.
Later. Thank you for joining us. Sizohlangana next week. Good night.